The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clarke.
Welcome to Behind the Law and happy weekend to you. Joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Makaila Nichols. Hello, Makaila. How are you?
Great.
You are the person here to speak for our audience. You're not a lawyer. I am a lawyer. They're going to have questions that maybe I assume we know the answer to. That's your job.
Right on.
Are you ready to go?
I am.
Here's what we're going to talk about today. And by the way, we are here live. We will answer your questions. The phone number will be on the screen the entire show, 321-282-1055. Victims' rights. A lot of people don't know a lot of victims will have attorneys representing them throughout the criminal case. Very important. And you don't hear anyone talking about this. You're going to want to hear this. Also, immigration. What is going on in immigration in this country? We will address both of those very important topics. Quick break. When we return, Behind the Law continues.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Welcome back to the show. Do victims have rights? It's a question that a lot of people don't really ask. You've seen Dateline at the end of the show. They'll say, oh, we were about to go to trial and the state settled out with the defendant, yet the victim's family doesn't want that to happen. What rights do we have in Florida as victims? It's a great question, a question you probably do not know the answer to, but you are about to know that answer because Rajan's here, Samantha's here. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What is this Florida Crime Victims Bill of Rights, and what rights do we have as victims of crime here?
So the Florida Constitution, actually the voters passed it back in November of 2018, and now the Constitution has all these codified rights that you have as the victim in a criminal case. So some of them include the right to have your safety considered when the defendant is getting a bond, the right to be heard in any sentencing proceedings, or the right to be notified of those proceedings. So the Florida Constitution pretty much gives you those rights that were previously considered, but now you actually have the constitutional right to it.
And it puts a responsibility on the government to inform the victim, to let them know what's going on. I mean, beforehand, prosecutors were very professional and did that, and there were in their office mandates and statutes that require that. But now it's constitutionally required. It gives the victims rights because when somebody's a victim of a crime, it's a hard time in their life, and they need to be heard. They need to know that their voices are important, and that the government and the judges do consider their wishes in prosecution or whatever they feel.
Is this in on Google, or does someone tell me? Because I wouldn't know where to find this Bill of Rights.
Yeah, it's actually in the Constitution, and it's been passed, and it's there. It's a Florida constitutional right, and a lot of times the responsibility is on the government to keep the victim informed and to make sure that they know what's going on in the case.
I agree with Makaila though, because I am a lawyer, and I literally did not know. I've been a lawyer longer than I'd like to admit, right, Rajan?
Yes.
I didn't know about this. I did not know we had a Victims Bill of Rights in our Constitution. I didn't know that. And I think most people at home probably didn't either. Does it cut both ways, though? And let me use the domestic violence example because, let's be honest, there's a lot of domestic violence cases out there. And I'm the victim of a domestic violence. Yet, I look back on it, it was just a bad night. I was probably at fault, too. And I say, state, I don't want you prosecuting my husband. I don't want you prosecuting my wife. I don't want to move forward. Do I have the rights as a victim in that situation to say no and stop everything?
So no, you have the right to be heard, and a lot of the times you'll actually hear the judges say that as well. So for example, if you have a plea hearing, the judge will pretty much always ask the prosecutor, hey, was the victim notified that this was happening today? And the prosecutor will tend to say, yes, they didn't want to be here. So you have the right to be heard. That doesn't necessarily mean that what you want will be what happens. So for example, if you want somebody to go to prison for 5 years for their first offense of maybe like a small battery, a simple battery, more than likely that's not going to happen. But you just have the opportunity to give your input. So same goes for with dropping charges. You can say you want them dropped, but that doesn't necessarily mean the prosecutor is going to go with that.
And technically, you know, when it's a criminal case, it's the state of Florida versus the defendant. It's not the victim. The victim is theoretically a witness, and that's how the prosecutors sometimes view it. And you know, the victim may have their wishes and may a lot of times want the charges dropped. And sometimes, you know, if the charges go forward in certain situations, it's going to re-victimize the victim even worse. You know, the person could lose their job. If they're not a U.S. citizen, they can be deported based on a criminal conviction on even a simple domestic battery. So, you know, if it's going to tear the victim apart more, a lot of times the prosecutors say, well, we've got a duty. You know, they committed a crime. We're going to subpoena you. If you don't want to testify, too bad. You're coming in, and we're going forward. And at that time, the victim needs an advocate. They need someone to let their voice be heard. And it's important. That's what we do at our law firm. Is we don't only defend people charged with crimes, but we represent a lot of victims, because you know what they're going through is, you know, some of the roughest times of their lives, and they need someone to hold their hand. They need someone to guide them through the process, because it is a voluminous process and it is scary. And you know, we take this responsibility very seriously.
What's going to happen, and I've seen this a million times, if you are the victim of a crime, you're going to get these weird letters in the mail. You don't know what they mean. You might get a subpoena in the mail. You might hear that you have to go to a deposition. You don't want to do these things alone. You need someone by your side as a victim, because you do have rights here in this state. I'll connect you with Rajan right now, 321-282-1055. Literally, I will connect you right this very moment. What do you see coming into your office when you are representing victims? What does that really look like normally?
It can be a variety of things. You know, it could be, you know, just it could be a person who's been raped and, you know, is very scared and needs people there, you know, to hold their hands. It could be somebody who's been, you know, taken advantage of, you know, somebody who trusted someone and is being extorted. Or, you know, I've seen a lot of victims recently of these sexual stalking, where it's revenge porn or something like that. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, when there's new statutes, the prosecutors aren't really sometimes familiar with them. So we take on the responsibility to research the laws, research the procedures, and present it to the prosecutor. Sometimes we will get the case, and we will do the job of the law enforcement and the job of the prosecutor initially, and present it with them with a bow, and we will work with them, make sure our victim is cooperative and stuff. And sometimes it works really good for the victim. We take this job very serious, because, you know, at the same time we defend the people who are charged with crimes, but we also want to be there for the people who need us.
And you always hear about the system. Oh, he's in the system now. She's in the system. And normally that's referred to as someone's charged with a crime. They're going to be in the system forever. But as a victim of a crime, you can also feel like you're in the system. And it's not like customer service is priority number one oftentimes for the state, and they feel like they're in the system. And you can really help them have their own word.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of times they come in confused, they come in scared, and they need to know, you know, what is going on. They need to be informed. You know, they need to, we keep track of what's going on in the case. We keep track of the depositions. We communicate with the prosecutor. We also go to court and let the judge know, you know, what is important for this victim, and and going forward on letting their voice be heard, because sometimes they feel like they are just lost in the shuffle, and we let them know, no, you're not. We are here for you, and we will put the pressure where the pressure needs to be done, on law enforcement, on prosecutors. Sometimes the person hasn't been arrested yet, and the victim is screaming, I've been victimized. This has happened to me, and no one's doing anything. That's where we step in. That's where we come in, and we say, no, you're not alone. We will put the pressure on the prosecutor. We'll put pressure on the law enforcement, and we will do what we can to see, it get done.
And don't you think when the prosecution is hearing from a lawyer for the victim that maybe that file gets put on top a little bit? I'm not saying it definitely does, but they're going to be hearing from you. They know you already. I would have to think that a lot of times the prosecution, the state attorney, is going to take a harder look at that case, and as opposed to some just regular case.
We have very diplomatic relationships with all the prosecutors. We deal with them on a normal basis, and so when they hear from us, they know, we're serious about this situation. And when they hear from a defense attorney representing a victim, they know that it's something that they've got to, dot their I's and cross their T's, because, there is now someone looking over their shoulders who knows the procedures, knows what to do. And as a former prosecutor myself, and we have a former federal prosecutor in our office, so we got all the bases covered. I know what the prosecution needs to do in order to go forward on this case. And, I think, it really helps out. And Samantha can speak more. She's got very good relationships with a lot of the prosecutors.
Yeah, we are very diplomatic, but we also are aggressive when it comes to these type of cases. So the nature of being a prosecutor is you have a ton of cases, really. Mm-hmm. So
what on average would you say they're handling?
It could be anywhere from 150, some 300 and
really?
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in big counties like Orange County here. So, I mean, it's hard sometimes for them to manage their caseload, but when you have somebody emailing you, calling you, it's going to keep reminding you. So in that sense, it does get back onto the top of their to-do list, I would say.
And that relationship, I think, is huge when you're representing victims of a crime. And again, I don't think people know that you do that. I don't know if they know they can hire someone when they're the victim of the crime. And this isn't about, okay, we want to come in and get criminal charges because we want to then sue them later in court. This is about giving victims a voice, victims the voice that they deserve when they're going through what's probably a rough time in their life. If you've been the victim of a crime, especially a violent one, you're scared to death.
Yeah.
You're scared to death, and then when you feel like you're part of the system and no one's responding to your call, you can't figure out if someone's getting charged, not getting charged. It exacerbates that really bad time of your life. Keep up the good work, guys. Keep representing those victims out there. I think that's amazing. And I didn't even know you did it. I didn't know victims really had rights. I certainly do now.
Yeah, it's something we take, very seriously. We take, everything we do seriously, and it's also a way to give back to people who are in need.
Absolutely.
And we love that part. We love all the parts of our work, and stuff. But we're honored to have that responsibility.
If you've been charged with a crime or you are the victim of a crime, call the Joshi Law Firm right now, 321-282-1055. When we return, what is going on with immigration in this country? It's all just ahead. It's Behind the Law. Does credit card debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At Attorneys Justin Clarke and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your credit card debt. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Here we are with personal injury attorney Michael Mills. But Michael, you're way more than an attorney. You've been able to bridge the gap between doctor, lawyer, and consumer with your Injury Assistance Network, or IAN as it's known. Tell me about it.
Well, what it is basically it's a online personal injury network of providers, both medical and service, and it just helps personal injury attorneys and the general public find quality healthcare providers and service providers to take care of them when they've been injured in an accident.
Because the medical part of it is a huge piece in getting these clients recovered. You're a great personal injury attorney, though, as well. A lot of advertisement for PI guys out there. What separates you?
22 years.
Yeah.
My first 6 years, I did work for the insurance companies. I worked at one of the largest insurance defense firms in Florida. And then for the last 16 years, I've been representing the actual injured victims, as well as some of the providers as well doing PIP work.
Okay.
So I'm able to take that and what I learned and bring it to the plaintiff side.
Excellent, man. Keep up the wonderful work. And whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, or a consumer who's been injured in an accident, call Michael Mills today. He's over on the good guy side, I would say, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What side did you like better?
This side, definitely.
Yeah.
I've come to the light.
Exactly. I'm
Yes.
glad you did. Michael Mills, the Injury Assistance Law Firm. Give him a call today if you've been injured in an accident. But again, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, you need help finding help in that regard, call Michael Mills. Is student loan debt holding you back? I'm attorney Justin Clarke. You may have the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life. Now, when you think about the Central Florida community, we obviously have a lot of people here from other countries. And what I've noticed is a lot of the people that are here have come here legally, but they still have family left behind that they're sending money back to, but they desperately want their family to get over here to Central Florida to be with them. How do you do that? I think that is the question of the day, is how do we legally get our family members here to Central Florida that we miss so dearly? Who better to ask than Fanny Nater, Nater Law. Fanny, how are you? Great to see you.
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. You must hear this all the time, where you have someone here, a mom, a dad, who are here in Central Florida, yet the family's still back in the old country, and they want to get them here. They don't want to do it illegally. They want to do it legally. Yeah. How do we do it?
So immigration is very compartmentalized in who can come and who can petition for a family member to come to the states legally, and so it goes by level of priority. A husband, a wife, an adult child can petition. The fiance can petition the wife with children, or can petition mom and dad, and they have priority. So those petitions, when they're submitted, United States Immigration Services will pretty much provide a visa for these family members fairly quickly. Usually turnaround time will be about a year. But it's not the same if you're petitioning for a brother or a sister. If your adult parent or your parent is petitioning for an adult child over the age of 21 who is married with children. Under those circumstances, that person is not going to have first priority, and those visas can take anywhere from 12 to 15 years before those individuals can come. So brother to sister, sister to sister, brother to brother, those you're looking at upwards of 12 years, and it's going to be based on the priority date, which is determined when you file the petition with USCIS.
So let's say I'm a husband here in Central Florida, wife, 2 kids are back in whatever country I'm from. Does it matter what country I'm from? Are some countries more difficult to get here?
Not necessarily. I mean, I haven't had an experience where one country over another has been difficult for a family member to come here. It's just a matter of having an embassy close to them that they can travel to, because their interview will be in their home country. And so there are some countries that only have one embassy for the entire country, and so that person has to be able to make it to that embassy, and that's where you find some difficulty.
I hope this question's not too difficult, but how difficult is it, and what are some of the roadblocks in getting my wife or my husband or my kids over to the United States?
Well, first and foremost, if the person is here, I always recommend that they're U.S. citizens. That is the quickest way. You can petition for your wife and your children as a legal permanent resident, but it's going to take longer, because you don't have first priority at that point. So as a U.S. citizen, you file your petition to invite, so to speak, your wife and your children over, as long as their children are under the age of 21 at the time we file the petition, and they're not going to turn 21 by the time they have to go for their interview. Then it should be pretty much a maybe 6 to 8 month process. Then USCIS will notify the embassy in their home country. They will go for their interview there, and then it's just a matter of them passing. Some of the difficulties and roadblocks that you'll find is if there's a criminal history. because the United States is probably going to block a person who has had a major crime. So that might be something to look into, and it's one of the questions that we do ask is either the petitioner has a criminal background, or at home, is there a history of a criminal background, and that might be a reason for USCIS to deny the petition.
I can't imagine what an amazing feeling it must be when one of your clients is bringing their husband or their wife or their kids and they arrive here in this country, and those hugs must be some pretty long, intense hugs, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding to do this kind of law when you can unify families that have been separated for a while.
And legal, they don't have to worry about anything bad necessarily happening. Fanny Nater, Nater Law, what a great job today.
Thank you.
If you have family members who have someone back in the old country, they want to get them here, they want to get him here legally, call Fanny right now. She'll answer your questions right now, literally right now. 321-282-1055. Excellent job, Fanny. Hope to see you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Keep up the hard work. Behind the Law will continue. Sekou Clarke joins me, immigration attorney, always outdresses me as well, like most people on this program. He's also faster than me and in better shape, which is not unusual for this show. I'm sick of it. Sekou, welcome to the show, buddy. Long-time friend of mine. Haven't seen you in a little bit. Miss you, pal.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Let's talk about immigration, okay? How would you describe immigration in this country right now? Obviously a hot-button political issue. We don't have to get political about it, but how hard is immigration in this country?
Well, immigration has always been hard.
Yeah.
And since the pandemic, it has even complicated it even more for families. But right now, as we sit today, the biggest immigration issue is employment. So because there's a shortage of labor created by the pandemic in the U.S., the U.S. is trying to open up more opportunities for employment. But on the other side, there's still an issue at the border.
So are we trying to make immigration easier to get employees here? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's good for families, I presume, right? And a lot of the families that you see, they want to do these things legally. I mean, they don't want to be crawling under fences like we hear about. I mean, your clients want to do this thing the right way. What is it sort of an average time it takes to actually be able to legally come into this country?
So for a family-based petition, family-based, it includes if a U.S. citizen husband is petitioning for an immigrant wife. Typically, that timeline can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months.
Wow.
If it's a U.S. citizen adult that is petitioning for their parent, it can be anywhere from 3 to 8 months. So those are kind of like the average timelines for family-based petitions. But employment-based petitions can vary anywhere from 3 months to 1.8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what about these people who will say, I want to go buy a business in the United States because if I buy a business, I can get this particular visa and then I can come here? What's that all about? Is it EB-1 visa, something like that?
Yeah, so there are several. And
okay.
For 2022, that has been the bulk of my business right now. It's investors from Canada, from Europe, from all over the world that are buying businesses in the U.S. And as a result, they're able to get either a visa or a green card. So you have the E2 visa, where if you buy an existing business where you're a 51% owner, or if you are opening a new business, you will get a non-immigrant visa, which is valid for 3 years. However, if you are investing anywhere from 900 to 1.8 million, you're able to get an actual green card, which is an immigrant-based visa, and that's the EB-5 in which you mentioned.
I got you. What does a green card mean exactly?
So a green card really is permanent resident. So a permanent resident is you're almost a U.S. citizen, but you can't vote and you don't have a passport. Yes. So you can reside in the U.S. for an extended period of time, and for as long as you want, and you can work legally. You get a Social Security, so you have most of the benefits of a U.S. citizen.
What can I do to screw that up, so to speak? Is there a way that they can revoke my green card?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you commit certain crimes, obviously, if you leave the country and don't follow the right protocols and you're out of the country for more than a year, well, you can be deemed to have abandoned your permanent resident status. So those are like the easiest ways to lose it. Crimes involving moral turpitude or leaving the country. Those are the two primary ones.
Now, how do I go from green card to citizen?
So from green card to citizenship, if you acquired your green card via marriage and you're still in that marriage, it's 3 years.
Okay.
However, if you acquired it through employment, through sports, through any other means other than marriage, it's 5 years. That's when you can apply for your citizenship.
I know for a fact that if I had some immigration issues in my family, I would not want to try to do it myself. A lot of red tape, and you have to really know what you're doing. I would call Sekou for sure.
I definitely would as well.
Good to see you, my friend. Let's do this again soon, all right?
Always, too long.
Perfect. Here's what we're going to do. Quick break, Makaila. I can't wait to hear about what you learned today, by the way.
I learned a lot.
You learned a lot.
I
I learned a lot as well. We'll take a quick break. When we return, it's what did we learn? Our good buddy Greg Mann is here, property manager, the best in the business, I assure you. Greg, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It scares me a little bit because there are some people still out there who own real estate, who rent it out, and they want to do it themselves. I never advise that whatsoever because, and you've seen it, Greg, people who rent houses out to someone else and decide they want to do self-help evictions, they can get in trouble legally for that.
Yeah, well, first of all, they're not professionals, so they don't know what they're doing. And as you would know better than most people, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not a professional, don't do it. So avoid it. If you self-manage and you need to do an eviction, go to an attorney.
Even that aside, though, anyone who owns real estate that they're renting out really should have a property manager such as yourself. What are all the things that you do to make life easier for me, the landlord?
From start to finish, we rent the house out, we collect the rent, we send it to you, we maintain the house. Everything's just one package. It's simple.
It is. And vendors, you know so many vendors. You make life easier for me, the landlord, because you have those connections already.
We do, but we actually really screen our vendors really well. You know, so every vendor that works with us, licensed and insured, and we turn vendors down left, right, and center. But you know, we're always looking for good vendors too.
And wouldn't you say? Some people say, I'm going to rent it myself because I don't want to pay Greg. I don't want to pay a property manager. But wouldn't you say you actually save the landlord money over time because of your relationship with these vendors?
Absolutely, we save money. Not only do we save money with the vendors, we save time, which you can never get back.
And 2 a.m. phone calls, I'm not getting those.
No, you won't. I get those.
Literally, as the property owner, I just buy the property and turn everything over to you and collect checks. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery every single day.
If you own thank you, Greg, as always. We always appreciate your insight. If you own real estate that you're renting out and you're handling it yourself, it's not a good idea. You can get yourself into trouble and it's going to cost you money. Call Greg Mann today. More Behind the Law is just ahead.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Welcome back. A final segment today for Behind the Law. And as always, we wrap it up with what did we learn? Makaila, I'm dying to know. What did you learn today?
I thought the Bill of Rights, right? Is that what it is?
Yes.
For the victims. I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. And apparently you're informed and you just don't have to Google it.
The Florida Crime Victims Bill of Rights. And as a lawyer, I did not know there was such a thing either. Which,
well, now you do.
Well, it's good, though. If you think about someone who has been a victim of a crime, it's a bad time in their life, and dealing with the state sometimes. Again, you went and got a permit today for something, and it's not like customer service is priority number one when you're dealing with the state, of course. So it's really a way for you to have someone on your side as a victim, making sure everything is going the right way. Also, immigration. I mean, I was really, it was nice to hear today that immigration isn't as horrible as it once was. Or that's what I heard.
Yeah, no, I heard that too. I mean, giving people an opportunity to work and come to this awesome country. So.
Excellent job, Makaila, as always. And thank you for joining us this weekend. As always, we will talk to you again exactly at this time, exactly this day next week for more Behind the Law. I'm attorney Justin Clarke. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.